Welcome to iLecture Online. So now let's talk about the correlation coefficient. What is it? Well, it's very strongly related to the covariance. And so we might say, well, if it's so strongly related, why would we need both? Well, it turns out that the covariance, well, we know now how to calculate it, does give you some indication as to how two data sets are related. But the size of the number when we calculate the covariance doesn't give you an accurate understanding of what that relationship is. So if we then change from the covariance to what we call the correlation coefficient, now we have a much better idea of how well the two data sets relate to one another. So let's take a look and see, by definition, and the best way to define the correlation coefficient, which we use the small letter r for, we simply take the covariance and we divide it by the variance, the square root of the variance of x and the square root of the variance of y. Why is that? Well, it turns out when we do that, we will get a number always, without exception, between -1 and 1. The correlation coefficient can never be smaller than -1 and never be bigger than 1. So whenever we calculate this, the correlation coefficient, we will always get a number between -1 and 1, and it could include -1 and 1. Well, it turns out that if you get exactly 1, the two data sets are perfectly correlated to one another. And if you get -1, the two data sets are perfectly correlated to one another, except that one will be increasing while the other one is decreasing. So the increasing trend and the decreasing trend will be completely correlated to one another. And here, if both data sets increase, the increasing trends for both will be completely correlated to one another. Now, one way to get a visual representation of that is to go ahead and take the values of our x data set and the values for our y data set and put it on an xy graph. And notice that we have 2 and 1, we have 4 and 3, 6 and 8, 8 and 11, and 10 and 12. And then if you draw the best fit line there, you can see how close all the data points are on that best fit line. If they're all very close together towards a single line, then you'll have a very strong correlation between the two. And so therefore you would have a large correlation or a large covariance number. But if you then convert it to a correlation coefficient, then you get a much better idea how close to a perfect match you have. Notice when we calculate this, we get 0.98. Now let's go through the motion a little bit. First of all, here's the two data sets. You can fairly easily get the average for x and the average for y. And then we get the variance for x and the variance for y. Now we use the very same numbers that we used before, so you can go back and see how we calculated it if you're not sure. But you simply take the difference between each of the numbers and the average, so it would be 2 minus 6 squared plus 4 minus 6 squared plus 6 minus 6 squared plus 8 minus 6 squared plus 10 minus 6 squared. Add them all together, divided by n, which is in this case 5, and you'll get 8. You do the same for the y values. 1 minus the average 7, you square that. 3 minus 7 squared, 8 minus 7 squared, 11 minus 7 squared, and 12 minus 7 squared. Add them all up, divided by 5, and you get 94 divided by 5, or 18.8. So those are what we call the variances of the two data sets. Then to calculate the covariance, you take the difference between each of the x value and the average of the x's, and multiply that difference times the difference of each of the y values minus the average of the y values. You add all those products up, divide by 5, and then here you can literally see how it was done. 2 minus 6 times 1 minus 7. 4 minus 6 times 3 minus 7. 6 minus 6 times 8 minus 7. Yep, there we go. 8 minus 6 times 11 minus 7, and 10 minus 6 times 12 minus 7. You do all that, you add those all up, divide by 5, you end up with 12, which is the covariance of those two data sets. So your covariance matrix would look like this. You have the variances along the diagonal, and the off-diagonal elements represent the covariance of the two data sets. But what does 12 really mean? Well, the fact that it's a relatively big number compared to the variances means that, well, there's a relatively strong correlation between them. But how strong? You really can't tell. So when we take our covariance right here, which is 12, and we divide it by the square root of the variance of x. Now the variance of x was 8, so we take the square root of 8, and then we also divide it by the square root of the variance of y, which was 18.8, so we take the square root of 18.8, you multiply those together, those are in the denominator, 12 divided by this gives you 0.98, which is almost 1. Therefore, since it's almost 1, we know that there's a very strong relationship between the two data sets. They're both increasing, and they're both increasing almost in the same fashion. That's what we mean by strong correlation, and is signified by the fact that the correlation coefficient is almost 1. If you end up with a correlation coefficient of 0.2 or 0.3 or something like that, there wouldn't be nearly as much correlation between the two data sets. But a 0.98 means there's very strong correlation. And so it's much easier to see once we calculate the correlation coefficient how strong the correlation is, versus when we have the covariances. Because the size of the number, and depends upon how big the number sets are, we can't really tell that closely how closely the two data sets correlate. And that is how it's done, and that is why we need the correlation coefficient.